Hello, everyone. We're live at lunch with attorney Abigail Molina with Molina Immigration, where we melt the fear of ICE. Soy la abogada Abigail Molina aquí con ustedes, almorzando y conversando, hablando de temas de inmigración. Hoy vamos a estar hablando sobre la removación acelerada. A ver si puedo decir esa palabra, porque siempre me cuesta decir esa palabra. Se puede decir también deportación rápida. Removación acelerada es la tema de hoy y vamos a estar tomando preguntas también. We're going to be talking about expedited removal today and increased funding provided for ICE and removal efforts. So I'll be also taking any questions anyone has along the way. Please feel free to put those in the comments. I'm here probably till about 1 o'clock today. So for the next 45 minutes, you've got me, and I'm going to start by talking about expedited removal. Actually, let's back it up just a little bit, because before Trump took office, I was talking a lot about how the limited resources available to ICE and to the government in general would limit their ability to do these mass deportations that Trump was promising. So I kept kind of reassuring people, like, there's only so much that they will be able to do with the limited number of agents, with the limited number of detention centers, with the limited number of immigration judges. And so that's kind of been, I guess, maybe I've been trying to keep myself calm, understanding that or knowing that, and also communicating that they're limited in what they can do. But as we have already seen just in the last few weeks of Trump taking office, they are really starting to ramp things up and taking steps in order to be able to do what they want to do. So one of those things is expedited removal. And just to back it up even further, I feel like there were a lot of, these executive orders that were issued by Trump saying a lot of different crazy stuff, like, let's take away the 14th Amendment, no more birthright citizenship. And those, I think, were just like distractions, because we all know that, like, the courts have put a stop to all that craziness, and those things will never actually go forward. But meanwhile, like, some real stuff is taking place, and that is the stuff that is actually that they've been trying to keep our attention away from in order for them to actually be able to do these things. One of those things is the expansion of expedited removal. So we're going to talk about expedited removal, what that means, who it's going to impact, how they are going to use it in order to complete these mass deportations that they want to do. I'm also going to be speaking in Spanish, so I will come back to English. But if you have any questions in the meantime, please put them in the comments and I will get to them. Entonces, estamos hablando hoy de removación acelerada. Tengo que decir esas palabras despacio porque me cuesta decir. También se puede decir deportación rápida. Y estamos hablando de esto porque hemos visto que, pues, Trump tenía muchas promesas de hacer deportaciones, muchísimas deportaciones. Y yo estuve explicando antes de que él tomara su lugar que hay recursos limitados con inmigración a ciertos números de agentes, de lugares de detención, de jueces de inmigración, y por eso he dicho que va a ser difícil hacer lo que quieren hacer. Trump hizo muchos anuncios con órdenes ejecutivos, pero hemos visto que estos ya están amparados, están ya en las cortes. Entonces, pero mi opinión, lo que he visto y lo que estoy pensando ahora es que ellos entienden que tienen recursos limitados, entonces quieren como hacer cosas para quitar la atención de nosotros, para que no nos fijamos en lo que de verdad están haciendo y preparando a hacer. Una de esas cosas es algo legal que sí va a poder seguir haciendo y están empezando de usar. Se llama la expulsión rápida, o sea, la removación acelerada. Vamos a estar explicando qué se trata y quién le va a afectar. So expedited removal is something that is already in the books. It's already legal. It's not something that I don't know if people are going to sue against the use of it. I think that what we will see is probably litigation about the overreach of it. So people that get caught up in expedited removal but shouldn't be. So we may see litigation, but this is one of the dangerous things because it's actually on the books and they can use it. And what they've done historically is use this within 100 miles of the border. So you're talking like the US-Mexico border, Canada, US border, for people who have been in the US for less than 14 days. Those people are put through an accelerated process where they're not allowed to see a judge. The only way out of it is if they express some kind of fear of returning to their country, and if like ICE actually pays attention and gives them that right. And otherwise, they're just going to be basically one day to the next kicked out of the country. I see a lot of people who have expedited removals that were caught on entry, who were told that they were getting a voluntary departure, but it isn't. When you do the Freedom of Information Act, the FOIA, you find that actually they were given an expedited removal. So it's a quick way to get people out of the country quickly. And this is now expanded nationwide. Not just the borders, but nationwide. And so this is really where our emphasis needs to be right now, in helping immigrants and in pushing back against ICE, because this is a way that they can skip over detention, they can skip over the judge, and just take people out if they believe that someone has been here less than 2 years. And I think that what they're going to do is put the requirement onto the individual to prove in the moment that they are picked up by ICE that they've been here more than 2 years. So not just say, hey, I've been here, but actually prove and have that proof on them. Also, if the person expresses a fear of returning, that can also stop the expedited removal process. But you're talking about, this is super quick. This is what they're intending to do, like basically one day to the next, 2 days maximum, to get people on a plane and out of here quickly. As we've seen, the people who were taken to Panama, I'm assuming that that's what they did to them. They just put them into expedited removal. You're not allowed to see a judge. You're not going to a detention center. You're just being processed and taken out. Estamos hablando de la remocion acelerada. Esa frase me cuesta. Se puede decir también deportación rápida. Y esto es algo legal que en el pasado solamente se ha usado en las fronteras, en la frontera con México, la frontera con Canadá, para personas que tenían menos de 14 días adentro de los Estados Unidos. Se usa para brincar el proceso con la Corte de Inmigración, para brincar detención, y se nota que están usando para tratar de, pues como no tienen recursos, no tienen dónde poner las personas, quieren procesarlos como si fuera deportación rápida. Esto normalmente es para las fronteras, se ha usado en las fronteras solamente, pero ahora han anunciado que están poniendo póliza en todo el país. No solamente las fronteras, pero todo el país, para personas que tienen menos de 2 años aquí. Pero ¿cómo se va a comprobar que tienen más de 2 años aquí? Y yo imagino que ICE va a decir que es el requisito, el deber del inmigrante explicar y demostrar con evidencia que tiene más de 2 años aquí. También puede escapar la remoción acelerada si tiene un miedo de regresar a su país. Entonces, pero esto es algo rápido. Por eso va a ser súper importante tener abogado para pelear, para responder rápido si está detenido por inmigración. Creo que van a empezar a usar esto más y más, y ya anunciaron que están buscando personas que tienen menos de 2 años. Ya tienen información sobre personas, por ejemplo, que recibieron un parol, que entraron por CBP1, para empezar de procesarlos como una remoción acelerada. So we're talking about expedited removal, and this is going to impact anyone who's entered the last 2 years, and they are less than the last 2 years. They have already information. People who entered, for example, on CBP1, people who are paroled in, people who are in the process of asylum already can actually have their cases taken out of the court and processed through expedited removal, which is ridiculous. If you ask me, it's a huge waste of resources, because what's going to happen, it's going to pull them out of, they're already further down the road on the asylum. It's going to pull them out of it and like jump them back to -0 to start the process all over again. But I think what they're hoping will happen is that people just won't fight fast enough in order to request a credible fear interview to get out of expedited removal. Or their attorneys won't be able to act fast enough, or the people won't be represented and won't know the magic words to say. So this is super important. We really need to be getting the word out about this. People need to understand the danger if they've been here less than 2 years, or even if they've been here more than 2 years. The burden will be on the individual to prove that. How do you prove it? Maybe with receipts, with work pay stubs, bank statements. These are probably things that people should carry on them at all times if they're leaving the house, honestly, because my fear is that ICE, number one, they don't care. Number two, they're lazy. So they are going to just say, oh, you don't have that paperwork with you now. Well, we're not going to wait for your attorney to fax it or email it over to us. You're just getting on a plane tonight. So this is going to happen very quickly. And people who have been here less than 2 years or right around 2 years, even if you're in the process of an asylum, even if you have a hearing, you need to be talking to your attorney about this issue. Los que están en proceso de asilo, los que tienen menos de 2 años aquí o más, recomiendo que estén hablando con su abogado para estar preparado por si acaso. Por ejemplo, si vaya a su cita con ICE, ¿cómo va a responder si ellos dicen que ya no va a estar en proceso de asilo, sino va a estar en proceso de remoción acelerada, que ya no va a tener el derecho a ver un juez, va a tener que procesar por este proceso? Yo creo que eso va a ser la manera como se pueden empezar de hacer deportaciones muy rápidamente y sin usar todos los procesos normales. So this is a way that they're getting around due process. And that I talked a lot about that leading up to Trump taking office, that, there's only so much they can do because of limited resources, and also because of due process rights of seeing a judge and all of that. And this is the way that they're getting around it. We're also going to see increased funds that are going to be set aside for ICE. The Senate already passed their 2025 budget, increasing it to $350 billion with a B dollars that they want to allocate for removal efforts. I did a quick search. Check me if I'm wrong on this, but last year's budget was like $9 billion. So up to $350 billion from $9 billion, which makes you wonder, like, where are they getting the money for this? Number one. And number two, why is it so important that we're going to take funding from, probably education and, our own people here who need it, and use it to take out people who have family here, who have lived here for a long time, who are contributing to our economy, and who are doing work that are, frankly, U.S. citizens don't want to do. So these are all questions I would love answers to. If anybody is pro MAGA and wants to answer those questions, please tell me, like, is it, I think one of the answers is going to be, but they're eating our cats and eating our dogs. They're killing poor, people with drunk driving, all of these things that you hear, the examples that are taken as an example, like Lake and Riley, right? We already see that legislation has gone into effect. If you have even a shoplifting conviction, you're going to be subject to mandatory detention. You're not getting out of immigration detention if you have any kind of theft, arrest, or conviction. Even if you're just charged, even if it's like a mistake and you're charged with it, you're going to end up being deported for that. So we see how they take these small examples and they just magnify them to make them this huge problem when it's really not. The facts, the data, the statistics does not support it. So ten cuidado con esto porque creo que lo que van a estar haciendo es brincando los derechos constitucionales de ver un juez, de tener un proceso debido y también van a estar aumentando los fondos para procesos de deportación. Este año tienen un creo que se dice presupuesto, el dinero que tienen apartado para ciertas cosas. Para inmigración, el año pasado apartaron $9 billones y este año están diciendo que quieren gastar $350 billones en deportaciones. Esto va a ser usado para construir centros de detención, para ocupar más agentes de ICE y jueces de inmigración. No entiendo por qué tenemos que gastar tanto y de dónde va a venir este dinero y por qué. No es cierto que están comiendo nuestros gatos y perritos. Esto era mentira. Y ahora están diciendo también que están matando nuestra gente. No es cierto. Pero usan estos ejemplos para dar miedo y decir que tenemos que gastar tanto para hacer deportaciones. So I've been talking for like 16, 17 minutes now. I'm going to take a little break and answer some questions. And then we'll come back and see what else, if I missed anything else. Alia, you're on a F1 student visa. Your visa expired in 2020. You have your I-20. Is there a deportation risk? Yes, absolutely. You should be looking at other ways to get legal status. And here's where I'll say that we offer a free discovery call. You can give us a call at 541-653-8899. You can also find that number in our socials. Can an approved I-140 affect your OPT extension? Alia, same person. I really don't do much employment-based stuff, so you should talk with an employment immigration attorney to find out. Sorry, I should probably scroll to the top and then work my way back. ¿Por qué cambiaron mi caso de oficina de VAWA? El ajuste de estatus se metió el 2022. Esto no sé. A veces mueven los casos donde tienen más personas para trabajar en el caso. Y si lo metió en 2022, sí están demorando más de 2 años. Entonces, no estoy preocupado por eso, pero si tiene preocupaciones o tiene alguna complicación como delitos, recomiendo hablar con su abogado lo antes posible. Chairman, what if you have a pending asylum with immigration judge, but you're here less than 2 years? That's what this memo that came out is talking about, is that they can actually take those people out of the asylum process and put them into expedited removal, which will mean that if they don't receive a request for a credible fear interview at the asylum office, they will have the authority to deport that person. It's very quick, like within a couple of days. So even people, it's ridiculous because people are already like maybe a year or two from having their final interview are now going to potentially have, if they go through expedited removal, if they go through the credible fear, it goes to the asylum office they have to schedule the credible fear interview. We've seen it take years, in some cases, to schedule that interview. And then a decision, which can sometimes take a few months after that. And then if it's positive credible fear, it goes back to the court to do an asylum. So it's like you just wasted several years in the meantime. you could have already, maybe if that person lost their asylum, they could already be deported. So in some ways it might be good for people, but my concern is that if you don't have an attorney working on your case, or if ICE doesn't recognize the information that's being provided by your attorney, you could get kicked out before you are you even have a chance to have your credible fear interview scheduled. And I think there's going to be lawsuits about that, people that shouldn't have been caught up in expedited removal, or who were processed too quickly, or who did, have an attorney request for their credible fear interview and that request was ignored. I think we're going to see lawsuits about that. Rob, ¿qué tal alguien que ya tiene 2 deportaciones? He was in an accident. ICE took him in last September. If he's detained, hopefully he's working with an attorney for that. It's complicated. So give us or another attorney a call if you don't already have an attorney on that. Is it possible to have a working permit in Donald Trump regime? I like how you're calling that. The Trump regime, yes. It is still possible. We're still seeing lots of approvals for work permits. People are still getting green cards. People's citizenship applications for naturalization are still getting approved. So we're still seeing approvals. It's still possible. And so people need to be talking with an attorney to see what their options are. Rob, that person you're fearing for his safety. There's definitely options for people who fear for their safety. There's processes in place. They need to have an attorney to be requesting that. Ruben Love, there is, his question is about someone taking a trip outside the U.S. that's a permanent resident and with an arrest. Your question cuts off there, but I'm going to use this as an opportunity to respond to. I'm seeing some videos from other attorneys that are noting this, and actually somebody who knew someone that this happened to. If you are a permanent resident, don't be traveling out of the U.S. if you have certain crimes. If you have any crimes, you need to talk with an attorney, because what can happen is if you have specific crimes that make you deportable or make you inadmissible, then when you come back and you're asking to be admitted again, they're gonna be like, no, you have this crime, we have the right to detain you, put you into removal process. You could end up actually losing your green card. If you stay inside, you're gonna be fine, you're safe. Maybe when you renew your green card, you might have an issue, but definitely any crime. And in fact, back that up. Let's try to stay out of trouble. But if you do get into some kind of trouble, or if you're charged with something, even if you're, innocent or whatever, have your immigration attorney work together with your criminal defense attorney to help you understand what the possible consequences are of taking any plea, because we all know that there's, taking something to trial can be very expensive. So many times people will just take a plea, but not fully knowing, understanding all of the consequences, potential consequences for their green card. Somebody loves the Riley Act. How can you love the Riley Act? I don't understand that. Oh, Forrest, I don't understand your question. Had a baby before the N400 interview, how to report that? I'm not sure I understand that. Are they still approving green card appointments in Ciudad Juarez? My husband has an appointment 3/24. We just had a client come back this week, super happy, applied through, it was actually his son that applied for him. And then we used, his parents were permanent residents. So we used those for the waiver. They're still approving people, at least our cases. So I don't know. I can't speak to your specific case. If there's any complications, make sure that you're talking with an attorney. Even if you did all the case yourself, at least have an attorney take a look. You don't want to get out of the country for an interview and then not be able to come back. That would really suck. So please make sure that you're careful with that. Ya me aprobaron hace un mes, mi VAWA quedó pendiente, mi I-45. ¿Cuánto tiempo tarda abogada en mi I-485? No sé. Normalmente aprueban casi a la vez, pero depende si su esposo la persona que la maltrató, si era residente o ciudadano, eso afecta. Entonces, no sé, habla con su abogado o abogada o llámanos si no tiene abogada. There's a lot of duplicates. Do people like actually write these questions over and over again, or does TikTok do that? También estoy dispuesta, los que están en Facebook, si quieren poner sus preguntas en los comentarios, voy a responder. Me negaron la determinación de buena fe y me mandaron un RFE cuestionando firmas en papeles anterior. ¿Qué tipo de caso, Devin? You're welcome, Chairman. Thanks for your questions. What are my thoughts on TSA asking people for legal status? Well, first of all, I'll take this opportunity to remind people that the Real ID Act sorry, I've got this like hair in my eyeball, that has been, pushed back since I don't remember when, but before the pandemic. Supposedly it's going to take effect actually this May. So make sure that you have an ID that's valid for Real ID. If you're going to be flying, getting on an airplane, you could also use a passport. And so my thoughts on TSA asking people, I think that once the Real ID Act takes effect, like that's just going to be what's happening. There's not going to be anything that we can do about it. They're going to use TSA as probably an extension of ICE ERO. Do we take military PIP, parole in place cases, and are we located in California? Yes, we take military parole in place cases. Those are some of my favorite cases probably because my husband served in the Army for 11 and a half years. We are not located in California, but immigration is federal law, so we can serve clients anywhere around the country and around the world, and we do. Miriam, you were brought here at the age of 2 without any status. You're 21. You weren't able to get DACA because you were too young. I hate that for you. There might be some other options depending on your situation. So definitely consult with an attorney. You can call us for a free discovery call if you haven't already talked with somebody, 541-653-8899. If someone's using their passport but no criminal records, is it okay to fly domestic? Until the Real ID Act takes effect, you can. The U.S. passport is going to be the only thing that you could use to show legal status. Other than that, you're going to have to present your green card or an identification from the state that you used. That in order to get that identification from the state, you have to present your legal status. So it could be like a green card or a work permit, but just note that if it's like a 2-year or a 5-year work permit, your Real ID is going to expire at that time too. Dulce, you have DACA, you applied for advanced parole and found out you have a removal order. Ooh, that's too bad. Make sure, would that affect you from coming back? Probably not, won't affect you from coming back. But the question is like, why would you even travel? Because most people that are using the DACA plus advanced parole are doing that so that they can get their green card easier. If you have a removal order, depending on how you got that, you're going to want to make sure to talk with an attorney, see if that's something you could reopen or if you can get a pardon for it. It definitely complicates things and definitely might cause me to think twice about sending you abroad, just because I would want to make sure that like you're going to be able to use that entry in the future. Oh, we do have some comments over here on Facebook. Pablo, abogada, ¿sabe cuánto está demorando la removación de condiciones de residentes permanentes condicionales? Antes estaban demorando más de 2 años. mucho tiempo porque no son prioridad. Entonces, lo que hace cuando solicita la removación de condiciones, dan un recibo confirmando que está en estatus legal y extiende su residencia 2 años más. Entonces, no es prioridad para ellos. Lo que recomiendo normalmente para acelerar el proceso es hacer la ciudadanía un año después, porque luego van a procesar su removación junto con la ciudadanía y puede procesar más rápido. Entonces, eso sería mi recomendación porque ahorita están demorando más de 2 años, a veces 3 años o más. Esto sería mi recomendación. Si tiene más de un año esperando con su removación de condiciones. Y para explicar a todos, si está casado menos de 2 años cuando aprueban la residencia, van a darle una residencia condicional, va a ser válido 2 años y tiene que solicitar para quitar las condiciones antes de que se vence su residencia en los 2 años. Esto se llama la removación de condiciones. Para recibir, y lo que van a aprobar es la residencia de 10 años. Entonces, si habla inglés y no tiene y califica por otras maneras, recomiendo hacer la ciudadanía. Gracias a usted, Pablo, para su pregunta. Rob, you're not sure if that person has an attorney representing him. Can you look into his case? You can give us a call if he's detained. Yeah, I mean, he should know if he has an attorney, hopefully. I don't know if you're talking with him or not, but you can definitely give us a call if you have any other questions. 541-653-8899. The time frame for I-601As, we've been excited to see these moving faster finally. They were taking like over 3-4 years. The last ones that we've gotten have been about 2 years. So hopefully they are on their way back down. They really should only take like a year, maybe maximum. It does not depend what state you live in, that I'm aware of. Carlos, you have an interview for your wife tomorrow. I think there's a typo, but she does not speak English. Do you need to take an interpreter with you? Yes. And that interpreter cannot be you if you're petitioning for her. It also would be best if it's not a family member. Sometimes the officers speak Spanish, or I don't know what language you are, but sometimes they speak your language. But it's always best to take, and sometimes they can actually get an interpreter on the phone. Sometimes they prefer that, but just to be safe, I recommend taking someone with you. Vanessa, ¿puedo aplicar para el TPS? Tengo parol, pero se vence, soy del Salvador. TPS del Salvador es para personas que estaban aquí en las 90s, entonces si entró recientemente con parol, no va a calificar para el TPS. Thank you for those who are encouraging people in the comments. That's always touches my heart to see people reaching out to others. Jessica, si mi esposo es residente, ¿me puede arreglar y qué tiempo dura? Eso depende de su situación, cómo entró, cuánto tiempo tiene aquí, cuántas entradas y salidas ha tenido. Hay que consultar para saber la respuesta. Depende de varios factores. Dreamer, you have a family member that applied the same time as you in New York, and they were sent an approval once out of New York. I'm not sure what that means, but it's so hard to compare one case to another. And all the attorneys, we always complain to each other, like there's always that cousin of the mother of the friend that got approved in like 2 days. And why isn't my case approved in 2 days? It's just not possible to really compare one case to another. There's so many variables. Your consultations are free up to a certain point. So we have a discovery call process where we will let you know if we see options. Certain case types we do charge for a consultation with the attorney so that you can talk through what your options are and get all of your questions answered. U visa is pre-approved and you have a 4-year work permit. What to say if you get pulled over by ICE? You should keep your work permit with you. That is technically like a deferred action. So it should keep them technically from detaining you. But there's no guarantee. During the first Trump administration, they were telling people with pending U visas that they should go home and wait for the approval. And when I say home, I mean like their home country. You're welcome, dreamer. Keep dreaming. Si se puede. Árabe, you had DACA and you can renew it. Can you apply for an S visa? S visas are really rare. They're for people who are in some kind of trouble usually and are used as a witness in a criminal case. They usually, the prosecutors will usually promise that they'll help you get an S visa, but they never do. Like, it's really, really rare. Adult kids, 18 years and 16 years going to school, and they overstayed by 1 month. I'd be curious to know where their parents are and what state they live in. If they're in Oregon or a few other states, we'll do a special immigrant juvenile, a visa juvenil, up to the age of 21. If they've been abused, abandoned, or neglected by a mother or a father. So there might be some options. Definitely want to figure something out before they've overstayed 6 months for the 18-year-old, because that's when the 18-year-old will start accruing unlawful presence, which will negatively impact future applications. Javier, if you're in Mexico, you're probably not doing the I-601A waiver. That's for people who are in the U.S. waiting to get their waiver approved before they go to their consulate interview. If you're in Mexico, that probably means like you had your interview and now you're waiting to have your waiver approved. I'm not tracking those processing times very closely. I would guess probably about 2 years for those as well. But if you're outside the country, if you're in Mexico, I would definitely look at ways to process an expedite request. You can do that by showing some kind of necessity and urgency, either your safety there or a family situation here. You can usually get the senator's office involved to help process those. Definitely recommend working with an attorney on that if there's a basis for an expedite request. Derivative citizenship, if you liked math, you learned about derivatives, but basically means like you get it from one of your parents, and there's different ways to qualify for that. All right, I'll be on just a few more minutes answering some more questions. The main point of my talk earlier was expedited removal has been expanded across the nation. Anyone who's been here less than 2 years needs to talk with an attorney yesterday to figure out what the plan is to address that, to protect themselves from immediate deportation. Even if you have already your case with an immigration judge and asylum processing, you need to have a plan in place. Even if you've been here more than 2 years, you need to have a plan in place. I think that was my repeating message before Trump took office is, what is your plan? What are your options? What are you going to do? Plan A, plan B, plan C, all of the plans. So that's still what I'm saying. Have a plan. And that plan should start by talking with an attorney. I'm going to take an opportunity right now to say, be careful where you're getting your information. TikTok, social media, various social services are great support for general information. If you want information and advice that is tailored to your specific case, which is different from your neighbors, from your friends, from your cousins, I don't care how similar you think they are. Each case is different. You're going to need to talk to an attorney directly in order to figure out what is the best next step for you. So please, 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 please take with a grain of salt what you're hearing on social media and from social services. Do you have to send in your green card with your 751? Just send a copy, keep your other one, because you're going to need, if you're traveling or working, you're going to need your expired card and the receipt notice that says that it's been extended. That was for Allie. Been waiting 3.5 years, Alonzo, for your green card after you were granted cancellation of deportation. Is that normal? That is not normal. You should have gotten it maybe max 6 months after. Oh, but actually, see what happens after you're granted. A lot of times the judge will say, yes, I'm approving this. But you have to wait because there's only a certain number of approvals that they can give each year. And that usually does take 3 to 4 years so they put you in line, and then you don't actually get your final approval until there's a visa available. So that might be what's happening. The judge indicated that they were probably going to approve your case, but they can't actually approve it until there's a visa available. So congratulations on the grant of cancellation of removal, Alonso. Those are really hard to win, regardless of what attorneys will come on here and say, hey, let's file a fake asylum case and then get you into court for a cancellation or removal. It's really hard to win those. The standard is very, very high. So congratulations to you, but that is probably normal. There's probably just not a visa available yet, but should be soon. You're welcome, Alonso. You applied, the chosen one, applied for an N400. They took the money and denied it, saying they are already a derivative citizen. Interesting. So probably through your family. So then what you should probably file is the N600. But you should work with an attorney on that, because then if you don't supply the right evidence for it, they might deny that one too. So you're just wasting money all over the place. You could also probably just file a passport directly if you file it with the right evidence. But that's interesting. And this is here. I'll take this opportunity as a plug for attorneys too. This is what happens when you file things on your own. You think that you're eligible. I'm just going to file an M400. I am eligible to naturalize because I've had my green card X number of years. And then you file it, and then you spent $760 on the filing fee, and it's denied because you were actually supposed to file a totally different form. So this is where attorneys can actually save you money. What are my thoughts about I-10 users filing taxes during this administration? I still recommend that people file taxes. I suppose at some point they could start investigating these. I don't know, but anytime you have a case with an immigration judge, they're going to want to know if you filed your taxes. And it's going to be a negative if you did not file your taxes. So I think that the benefit outweighs the risk. I will let you know if my opinion changes in the future, but as it is right now, I recommend you file taxes because you're paying into it, and you deserve that tax refund. Okay, I think I'm getting to the end of the questions. I appreciate everyone who has listened, joined us today with questions. the chosen one. Our consultation process is free up to a certain point. Your specific question might require a direct appointment with the attorney. There is a charge for that. Give us a call and we will let you know. 541-653-8899. Purple Stone 88, you want to petition for your sibling who's already here. Depending on what country, for example, in Mexico, those are taking like 20 plus years. So talk with an attorney about whether or not it's beneficial to file one. Also, if they're already here, they've probably already accumulated unlawful presence. And unless they are eligible for a waiver, it may not even be a good use of money. But, everybody has different opinions. And I think this is, like I said, it's really important you talk with an attorney directly to know, like, what are the benefits? What's the cost involved? What are the potential benefits? What could change in the future? Why would it be, helpful to have that on file, even if it takes 20 plus years? Can a cousin apply for you? No. Jessica, your 601A has been waiting for 3 years. That is taking kind of a while. Our recent ones were approved in 2 years. So that might mean that they're getting ready to issue a request for evidence, or I don't know. Good luck. Okay. Voy a terminar aquí, voy a estar aquí, espero estar aquí por lo menos una vez más esta semana. Estamos muy, muy ocupados. Imagino que entienden que tenemos mucha gente que nos está buscando para ayuda ahorita. Les animo que nos llame. Tenemos capacidad todavía, pero por eso no he podido estar aquí todo lo que he querido estar. Pero gracias a todos los que han visto, los que están apoyando y que están compartiendo también. Thank you everyone who's joined us. Thank you for sharing these and for your support. And we will be back with you hopefully at least one other time this week. And come on in and bring your questions and I'll bring my answers. And I'm just going to leave it right there. Hope everyone is staying safe and healthy, and please hug your family. And if you know an immigrant or an immigration professional serving immigrants, please send them love and give them a hug as well. We'll talk with you guys later. Take care. Bye.